All right. So you've been looking into modular homes,
Yeah.
and you sent in some pretty interesting stuff about building them out of aluminum,
Ah,
not just like siding or a roof. I mean,
right.
the whole structure.
Yeah.
The company is called M.H.S Building Systems,
Oh,
and they're really pushing the limits with this idea.
interesting.
I have to admit, it's not what I pictured when I think of a house.
Yeah.
What's your first reaction?
Industrial.
I think my first thought is maybe a little loud,
Uh-huh.
but I don't know. I mean, it's intriguing how this could open up
Yeah.
design possibilities while being
Yeah.
potentially more eco-friendly.
Yeah, the source material mentions that M.H.S uses a post and beam construction method
Okay.
with aluminum.
Mm-hmm.
I've only ever seen that with big wooden beams,
Right.
like in old barns.
Yeah,
How does that
yeah.
even work with metal?
Well, they're really taking advantage of aluminum's strength-to-weight ratio.
Okay.
So it can be incredibly strong without being bulky,
Gotcha.
like wood.
This means you can get those long,
Yeah.
open spans for a modern feel, or even replicate
Okay.
that traditional wood framing,
Yeah.
but with lighter,
Yeah.
more durable materials.
So best of both worlds.
Exactly.
You get the structural advantages of the post and beam
Right.
with the flexibility to go modern or our classic.
Yeah, and think about the transportation costs.
Oh, yeah.
Lighter materials means less fuel consumption.
Yeah.
Getting those components to the building site,
Uh-huh.
plus a lighter structure, could mean
Yeah.
less extensive foundations.
Okay, so we're not just talking about aesthetics here,
No,
but potential cost benefits.
absolutely.
The source material also highlighted the demountability
Okay.
of the system.
Mm-hmm.
They make a big deal about how you can actually take these houses apart
Right.
and reassemble them.
Yeah.
Help me understand that. Why is that such a big deal compared to a typical wood-framed house?
Well, imagine you trying to renovate a room
Yeah.
with traditional wood framing. You're cutting into studs,
Mm-hmm.
pulling out nails,
Yeah.
and you're potentially weakening the structure.
Yeah.
Demolition is destructive too.
Okay.
With the M.H.S system, though, it's all about bolting connections.
Interesting.
So those aluminum beams and posts can be disassembled without damaging them.
So like a giant high-tech erector set.
Exactly.
So you could take apart an entire aluminum house,
Good.
move it to a new location,
Yeah.
and put it back together.
Yep. Think about expanding your home,
Wow.
downsizing, or even relocating the entire house.
That's crazy.
It really challenges the idea of a house as a permanent structure.
And if you decide to take it down completely,
Then the aluminum components
yeah,
can be reused or recycled.
instead of ending up in a landfill,
Right.
speaking of recycling,
Yeah.
the source material touched on the environmental benefits of aluminum, but isn't aluminum production pretty energy intensive?
It is. That's a key thing to think about.
Yeah.
And where we have to consider the whole life cycle.
Okay.
Yes, aluminum production requires a lot of energy up front,
Mm-hmm.
but almost 75% of all aluminum ever produced is still in use today
Right.
because it's so recyclable.
Wow.
Wood, on the other hand, degrades over time and often ends up
Yeah.
as waste.
So you're saying the long-term recyclability of aluminum
Yeah.
could outweigh that initial energy cost?
I think so.
Especially when you factor in the potential for reducing construction waste back
Exactly.
to traditional methods.
The M.H.S system aims to be a closed-loop system
Wow.
where those aluminum components can theoretically be reused or recycled indefinitely.
Okay, so let's get into the nuts and bolts of how the system actually goes together.
Right.
The source mentions something about extruded shapes.
Oh, yeah.
What are those exactly?
You can think of aluminum extrusion like squeezing toothpaste out of a tube.
Okay.
You're forcing heated aluminum through a die to create a specific shape.
Interesting.
Beams, channels, and connectors with interlocking edges.
So it's not just flat sheets of metal. These are carefully designed components
Right.
that interlock to create a strong, stable structure.
Like a sophisticated puzzle.
What about insulation?
Well, they use insulated panels
Okay.
that fit within the aluminum framework.
Uh-huh.
This helps regulate the temperature inside,
Makes sense.
addressing a common concern
Yeah.
with metal construction.
So they've thought about those potential issues with heat transfer.
Yes.
It's not just a bare bones metal skeleton.
Right.
They're taking a more holistic approach
Yeah.
to creating a comfortable and energy efficient living space.
Exactly.
It sounds like they've thought through a lot of the challenges.
Yeah.
But let's talk about cost. Is this going to be way more expensive than
Right.
building with wood?
That's the big question.
Yeah.
And the source material doesn't
Yeah.
really get into specifics
Okay.
about cost comparisons.
So it's hard to say for sure.
It is, there are so many variables.
Location.
Location, design complexity,
Mm-hmm.
labor costs,
Right.
and of course the price of aluminum.
Always fluctuating.
Exactly.
So based on what we know,
Yeah.
do you think this is going to be a premium option?
For now, probably.
Okay.
Especially since it's a relatively new technology.
Yeah.
There's a learning curve for fabricators and builders.
Makes sense.
Early adopters often pay a premium for innovation.
But if the demand for sustainable building keeps rising
Right.
and this tech becomes more mainstream,
Yeah.
could we see costs come down?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Economies of scale could kick in
Okay.
as production ramps up and more builders become familiar with the system.
And it's worth noting that while the upfront costs might be higher,
Yeah.
there could be long-term savings in
Right.
terms of maintenance and energy efficiency.
For sure, aluminum is resistant to rot and
Oh.
sex and fire.
So that could reduce some of those ongoing expenses.
Exactly.
All right, let's play devil's advocate.
Okay.
What are some downsides or challenges for M.H.S?
One thing to think about is the thermal performance of aluminum.
Okay.
It's highly conductive,
Yeah.
meaning it transfers heat easily.
Yeah.
This could lead to higher energy costs,
For heating and cooling.
especially in extreme climates.
Right.
But, as we said before, the M.H.S system uses insulated panels
Yeah.
within that aluminum framework.
Okay, so they've tried to address that.
Yeah, they've anticipated that concern.
What other challenges come to mind?
Public perception could be another one.
Oh, interesting.
People are used to wood,
Yeah.
that warmth and familiarity, so
Mhm.
convincing people that an aluminum house
Right.
can be comfortable and inviting
Yeah.
might be tricky.
It is funny you bring that up because
Yeah,
my first thought was a cold industrial feeling space.
I get that.
But the more we talk about it,
Yeah,
I'm starting to see how you could create different looks,
right.
even a traditional feel,
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head.
expanding our perceptions.
It's about what's possible.
So imagine exposed beams and fireplaces and warm color palettes, but within a structurally sound
Right.
and sustainable aluminum framework.
I like it.
Now, practically speaking, what about things like
Yeah.
hanging pictures
Okay.
or mounting shelves?
Right.
Can you just drill into an aluminum wall
That's a good question.
like you would with drywall?
I think it depends on the interior finishes.
Okay.
If they use standard drywall,
Yeah.
might be similar to a traditional home.
But it's worth noting that
Yes.
the underlying structure is different.
It is.
So there might be special techniques involved.
Probably.
So maybe consult with professionals
Gotta
before making any major modifications.
Always better to be safe.
We've talked about potential cost savings
Yeah.
with transportation and foundations.
Right.
What about the construction process itself?
Good point.
Could using prefabricated aluminum components lead to faster build times?
It could. That's
Yep.
one of the big advantages of prefabrication. With components made off-site, you can really streamline assembly.
So it's like assembling a piece of furniture.
Kinda, yeah, but on a much larger scale.
That could reduce labor costs and construction time.
Absolutely.
And quicker occupancy.
Right, which also ties back to
Yeah.
efficiency and sustainability.
Less disruption on site
Less waste
and a faster turnaround.
for everyone.
I keep coming back to this demountability.
Yeah.
It's such a different way to think about a house.
It is?
What are the implications beyond just moving or modifying a house?
Well, it makes you think about our relationship with our homes,
Okay.
how we adapt to changing needs.
Right.
Imagine a future where homes are more like flexible platforms
Interesting.
that can evolve with us.
Need more space.
Add a module.
Downsizing.
Take one away.
It challenges the idea of a forever home
It does.
in favor of a more adaptable approach.
Exactly.
So you're shifting from ownership to stewardship.
I like that.
You're not just buying a house.
Right.
You're investing in a system.
That can change over time.
What impact could this have on architecture?
Oh, that's a good one.
Could we see a wave of new designs
I think so.
based on this modularity?
We could see a shift away from cookie-cutter homes
Can you say that?
towards more personalized and flexible designs.
So architects could experiment with new forms.
Yeah, creating spaces that can be easily reconfigured or expanded,
Imagine homes that adapt to families
or work from home situations.
or even accessibility needs.
It's a whole new way of thinking about design.
This brings us to the business side.
Okay.
The source mentions that M.H.S is licensing their technology to other companies rather than building houses themselves.
Right.
Why do that?
It's a strategic move.
Okay.
Instead of being a home builder,
Right.
they're becoming a technology provider.
Makes sense.
Licensing lets them scale up production faster.
So it's about accelerating adoption of the tech.
And potentially disrupting the industry.
It's a bold move.
It is.
Are there any downsides to this licensing model?
Well, one challenge is quality control.
Oh, yeah.
Across a network of partners.
Right.
M.H.S needs to ensure everyone is building to their standards.
So it's like franchising a restaurant.
That's a great analogy.
You need that brand consistency.
Especially when building a house.
And what about the reception from builders and communities?
Well, there's always hesitancy with new methods.
Yeah, especially in construction.
But the good news is the M.H.S system follows all the building codes.
That's important.
That's key for getting acceptance from regulators.
So they're not cutting corners on safety.
No, they're working within the existing framework.
To meet the same standards as other homes.
Exactly.
I'm curious about the response from architects and designers.
Yeah.
Are they excited about the possibilities?
I think there's a growing understanding that this kind of modular construction can actually boost creativity.
How so?
Well, the limits of traditional building often force designers to think inside the box.
Right.
But a system like this, with pre-engineered components that can be assembled in different ways, you can push boundaries and create truly unique spaces.
So it's less restrictive.
It's more freeing.
And that's where things get really interesting.
Imagine homes no longer limited
by traditional materials.
Or
design driven by sustainability.
Adaptability.
And the needs of the people who will live there.
It's an inspiring vision.
But let's get real for a second.
Okay.
We've talked about a lot.
We have.
The tech, the benefits, the business model, the design potential. But what's it like to live in an aluminum house?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah, will it feel different?
From a wood-framed house.
Will there be differences in sound?
Or temperature?
Or just the overall feeling?
We can't know without trying it.
Maybe that's the fun part.
It's a mystery.
A journey.
And that's what makes this deep dive so interesting.
Exploring the unknown.
Challenging assumptions.
Opening our minds
to new possibilities.
There's one more thing I want to mention. Okay.
The source says the M.H.S system can be used for multi-story buildings.
Oh, wow.
Not just houses.
That opens up
a whole new world.
Think apartment buildings, condos.
Even mixed-use developments.
It could revolutionize urban housing.
And create more sustainable cities.
For sure.
So this isn't just a niche solution.
No.
It could address much bigger challenges.
In how we design and build.
It's exciting to think about the impact this could have.
It's amazing what we can do when we put our minds to it.
Finding new ways to meet our needs.
While respecting the planet.
Yeah, it really is mind-blowing to think about how this technology could transform things from houses to entire cities. We've been so stuck on wood.
It's true.
That we haven't even thought about other materials.
It's a good example of how innovation comes from challenging the way things have always been done.
Yeah, who would have thought?
I know.
Aluminum could be the future of housing.
Right. And for you listening, what are your concerns about aluminum houses? Yeah. What excites you the most?
We've covered so much.
We have the strength, the recyclability,
the demountability, the design flexibility.
Even the cost savings and environmental benefits. There are still unknowns.
Of course.
This deep dive was about giving you information.
Right.
Now you decide what to do with it.
Exactly.
Maybe you're ready to jump in.
Go all aluminum.
Or maybe you're more cautious.
Yeah.
Want to see how things develop.
There's no right answer.
It's about being informed.
And making choices.
That are right for you.
If cost wasn't a factor, would you consider an aluminum house?
That's a good question. What would your dream aluminum house look like?
Those are the questions to ask.
This is where our deep dive ends.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But your journey continues.
Keep digging into the things that interested you.
Research different building materials.
Learn about sustainable design.
Talk to experts.
Even homeowners pushing the boundaries.
The future of housing is happening now.
And you're a part of it.
So keep questioning, keep exploring, keep challenging the way things are.
Maybe you'll be the one to discover the next big thing.
Thanks for joining us.
Until next time, keep those minds curious.
And those spirits innovative.